The chill in the air had always been a reminder of change, a harbinger of seasons turning. But this time it felt profoundly different, a coldness that seeped not just into my bones but into the very marrow of my soul. It was the winter I broke everything, the winter I learned the true meaning of regret and the bitter taste of betrayal. Not just of someone else, but devastatingly of myself. Mark and I. We had a life that people often envied, or at least that's what I meticulously crafted for the world to see. We had the cozy apartment with its sun-drenched mornings and quiet evenings, the spontaneous weekend trips to the coast, the comforting ritual of sharing stories from our busy days. Our laughter echoed through those familiar rooms, a seemingly perfect symphony of two lives intertwined and harmonious. But beneath that polished surface, a subtle discord had begun to play a faint, off-key note in our otherwise flawless existence. A quiet hum of discontent that only I could truly perceive. It wasn't a sudden crack, a dramatic fissure that erupted overnight. It was more insidious, like a slow erosion, a gradual fading of color from a once vibrant painting. The electric spark that had once ignited our passion and made my world feel technicolor had dimmed to a steady ember. Warm, yes, undeniably comforting, but no longer capable of setting my soul ablaze. We were comfortable, perhaps too comfortable, our existence defined by predictable routines and unspoken expectations. Our conversations had become mundane. Our daily interactions, a well-rehearsed script, our touch familiar but sorely lacking the thrilling electricity it once held. I loved Mark. I truly did. He was kind, steady, reliable, a genuinely good man in every sense of the word. But a part of me, the part that craved excitement, spontaneity, a desperate feeling of being truly seen and understood, started to feel suffocated, as if I were slowly drowning in a sea of sameness. Then Alex walked into my office, a vibrant whirlwind of infectious energy and captivating charm. He was new to the team, with a mischievous glint in his piercing blue eyes, and a smile that could disarm anyone with its effortless sincerity. Our initial interactions were strictly professional, of course, but they quickly and subtly veered into something more animated, more personal, more dangerously engaging. He listened when I spoke, truly listened, not just with his ears, but with his entire attentive being. He remembered minute details I had casually mentioned weeks prior, details even I had forgotten. He laughed at my jokes, even the silly self-deprecating ones, and his laughter was infectious. A bright, unburdened sound that seemed to chase away the gray monotony of my days. He made me feel alive again, in a way I hadn't felt in what felt like an eternity. It was a dangerous kind of aliveness, a forbidden thrill that pulsed beneath my skin, a secret rhythm only I could hear. We started having coffee breaks together, then working late on projects that conveniently seemed to stretch indefinitely. The professional lines began to blur imperceptibly at first, then with an alarming and intoxicating speed. Our late-night brainstorming sessions seamlessly transitioned into late-night conversations about our lives, our deepest dreams, our quiet disappointments. He shared his vulnerabilities with an openness that disarmed me, and I found myself opening up in ways I hadn't with Mark in a very long time. A vulnerability I hadn't realized I was withholding. The guilt became a constant oppressive companion, a heavy shadow that clung to me with relentless tenacity. Every time I looked at Mark, every time he smiled at me with his trusting eyes or reached for my hand, I felt a searing pain in my chest, a profound, sickening sense of shame. I was leading a double life, a meticulously constructed facade that threatened to crumble into dust at any moment. I would go home to Mark, pretend everything was normal, then spend hours agonizing over my actions, my rapidly changing intentions, my growing and terrifying entanglement with Alex. It was an emotional tightrope walk, a treacherous, precarious dance between an ingrained sense of loyalty and an undeniable growing longing for something new, something illicit. One particularly stressful evening after a grueling week at work, Alex and I found ourselves alone in the deserted office, after everyone else had long since departed. The rain lashed against the large windows, mirroring the tumultuous storm brewing inside my own tormented mind. We had ordered takeout and were unwinding with a bottle of wine, the conversation flowing effortlessly, the laughter unrestrained and echoing softly in the empty space. The air between us was thick with unspoken tension, a magnetic pull that was becoming impossible to ignore. One moment we were discussing a deadline. The next, his hand was gently on mine, his thumb slowly caressing my skin. A shiver ran through me, a bewildering mix of visceral fear and intoxicating exhilaration. It felt like an out-of-body experience, a scene playing out in agonizing slow motion. I knew it was wrong, profoundly wrong, an unforgivable act. But in that moment, the overwhelming desire for something new, something exciting, something that made me feel truly desired and seen, utterly overwhelmed, all reason, all morality. His lips on mine were a jolt, an electric shock that both terrified and thrilled me to my core. It was a mistake, a monumental, catastrophic error, a decision made in a suffocating fog of raw emotion and crippling vulnerability. But once that line was crossed, once that boundary was irrevocably breached, there was no turning back, no way to unring that bell. The weeks that followed were a blur of pervasive secrecy and agonizing subterfuge. Every lie I told Mark felt like a heavy brick added to the towering wall I was meticulously building between us, a barrier made of deceit, guilt, and regret. I became an expert at evasion, at crafting believable stories, at compartmentalizing my shattered life. I would leave Alex's apartment in the early hours of the morning, the crisp pre-dawn air biting at my skin, my heart pounding with a nauseating cocktail of guilt, fear, and a strange, fleeting sense of emptiness. I would walk into my own apartment, slip quietly into bed beside Mark, and pretend to be deeply asleep, my mind racing with vivid images of the night before, the weight of my actions pressing down on me. My relationship with Mark suffered profoundly. Even as I desperately tried to overcompensate, I became overly affectionate, overly apologetic, overly eager to please, as if desperately trying to atone for my sins, through exaggerated displays of affection and feigned interest. But the truth was a heavy, crushing weight on my soul, and it was slowly but surely crushing me from the inside out. I grew distant, irritable, easily distracted. I found myself snapping at Mark for the most trivial things, then immediately regretting it, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. The joy had evaporated from our shared moments, replaced by a pervasive sense of unease and a gnawing sadness. Mark noticed he always did. He asked if everything was all right. If I was truly happy, I would lie through my teeth, assuring him that everything was perfectly fine, that I was just stressed with work. He saw the cracks. He just didn't know the devastating force that was causing them. The eventual unraveling was utterly inevitable, as all secrets eventually come to light. It wasn't a dramatic confrontation, not a discovery of an incriminating text or an email that would expose my treachery. It was much simpler and yet infinitely more painful. One evening, after a particularly draining day spent wrestling with my increasingly fractured conscience, I simply broke down. Mark found me sobbing silently in the living room. The unbearable weight of my deceit, finally too much to bear. He sat gently beside me, his face etched with concern. His soft questions, a stark, agonizing contrast to the tumultuous storm raging within my tormented soul. The words tumbled out of me, a torrent of raw confession, overwhelming shame and profound sorrow. I watched his loving face contort with a gut-wrenching mixture of shock, unimaginable pain, and utter disbelief. His eyes, once so full of unwavering love and absolute trust, now held a profound woundedness, a deep, heartbreaking void that I knew I had single-handedly caused, and that would forever haunt me to my dying day. He didn't yell, he didn't scream, he didn't even raise his voice. He just sat there, a silent, motionless statue of heartbreaking anguish. A good man whose entire world had just been irrevocably shattered by the very person he loved most. The silence that followed was deafening, more painful than any argument or scream could have ever been. It was the gut-wrenching sound of a heart breaking, the irreparable sound of a future crumbling into irreparable pieces. He left that night and took an irreplaceable piece of me with him. The apartment felt vast and impossibly empty. The agonizing echoes of our shared life mocking my desolate solitude. The silence became my constant, unwelcome companion, a relentless reminder of my egregious actions and their devastating, irreversible consequences. I tried to reach out to him repeatedly, but his pain was too raw, too deep. He needed space-time to heal, and I had absolutely no right to demand anything from him. In the desolate days and agonizing weeks that followed, I had ample time to reflect on my abhorrent choices, my shallow motivations, my utter and complete failure. I had selfishly sought excitement and found only a profound emptiness. I had foolishly chased a fleeting thrill, and in doing so had utterly destroyed something precious and irreplaceable. The blame was mine and mine alone. There were no excuses, no justifications, only the stark, unforgiving reality of my betrayal. I had allowed myself to become selfish, complacent, and tragically blind to the true, immeasurable value of what I had. The infidelity was not just a singular act. It was a glaring symptom, a grotesque manifestation of a deeper dissatisfaction within myself, a void I mistakenly thought another person could fill. I had looked for external validation, for a spark to rekindle a flame that I should have diligently nurtured within my own sacred relationship with Mark. I realized then with agonizing clarity that while Mark and I had perhaps grown apart, I had also stopped putting in the necessary effort, the open communication, the crucial vulnerability required to bridge that growing gap. I had effectively given up on us before I had even truly tried to fix what was broken between us. The entire excruciating experience left me deeply scarred, but it also left me with a painful, undeniable clarity. I learned that love isn't always about fireworks and grand romantic gestures. It is often the quiet, unwavering commitment, the consistent daily effort, the unwavering mutual support. It is choosing to show up every single day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I learned that trust once shattered is nearly impossible to fully restore, and that some wounds never truly heal. Some scars remain forever etched upon the soul. I am still learning to live with the profound consequences of my actions, learning to painfully forgive myself for the immense pain I caused, not just to Mark, but ultimately to myself. I lost a good man, a loving partner, and a beautiful life, because I was selfishly chasing a fleeting illusion. I am alone, now navigating a future I never envisioned for myself, a future defined irrevocably by the harsh, painful lessons learned from my past mistakes. I still carry the crushing weight of my regret, but also a fragile hope that one day I can become a person truly worthy of the profound love I once so carelessly discarded. The cold air still bites, but now it is a stark reminder not of mere change, but of the enduring truth of choices and their lasting, indelible echoes